Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that recently heard that a cheese factory exploded in France. Debris was everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Keepers of the Questar from Upper Deck. Keepers of the Questar from Upper Deck is a game for two players that is kind of a dungeon crawl adventure where each player is crawling through a dungeon searching for treasure, but each player is also the dungeon master who is secretly pitting his forces against the opposing player's dungeon quest. Essentially, at the beginning of the game, each player is going to take a player board representing their quest, which is out and everyone can see. The opposing player will take a copy of that board and put it behind his player screen so that he kind of controls where the monsters are going to be for the player making the quest, and then vice versa. So each player is going to determine out of a list what kinds of monsters are going to be in this. You've got three different categories of monsters, and you're going to determine which categories of monsters are going to exist in each dungeon. So each player gets to decide that. Each player on their player screen has information about those kinds of monsters that they can see and they can refer to during the game. Now, using a draft mechanism, players are also going to draft 4 heroes, and these heroes are going to have different abilities, and they're going to be able to level up and gain more power, more abilities, the more monsters they kill. Now, each player is going to secretly determine where the Questar is on their map. They're going to place it somewhere. They're also going to place the monsters in various locations. Then each player is going to go ahead and begin the game. Now, on your turn, what you do is you go ahead and you can move your party. All of your 4 guys are just one party, and you move your party from one location, and it's a grid, numbers and letters, and you move from one to the other. Whenever you move, you have to tell, okay, I'm moving into this location, and the opposing player can say, okay, if there's a monster there or not. Now, you can either choose to move into the location, or you can just explore and see if there is a monster that is already there. You can investigate it. Either way, it costs you 1 point to do either one of those things. You can also choose to rest, which means you surrender all of your movement points, and you can go ahead then and remove 1 damage from one of your heroes. Now, if you investigate, you essentially choose one spot next to you, and you say the grid number, and they tell you whether there is a monster or a trap which has been laid for you there. After you do that, then you can actually move monsters on your location trying to find the enemy, and you can actually go and attack them if you're adjacent to them. Now, you have combat in this game whenever you run into a monster, or if you can try to get foil a trap, and essentially you have a number of tokens. These tokens typically have numbers and letters on them. Some of the tokens have multiple letters, but they have a T, R, A, or P on them. So if you're fighting a monster, you've got these tokens with numbers on them. So if you're fighting a 6 monster, essentially you take tokens that number 1 to 6. Now, you go through as the dungeon master for the other player, and you select one of those tokens. So one number between 5 and 6 you have selected off to the side. The opposing player then, who's doing the battling, he must select a number. He's trying to guess which number you've taken out. Now, if you've taken if he guesses the 2 and you've got the 2, then boom, he wins. He can go ahead and level up one of his characters. But if he guesses wrong, he takes a damage, and he keeps guessing until he either is knocked out from damage or he guesses correctly. And if he guesses correctly again, he gets to level up one of his heroes. Same thing with trap. You take out one of the letters of T, R, A, and P, and they're trying to guess which letter you have selected. And for every time they guess wrong, they take damage. Each adventurer has a number of levels, like 3 levels. I think there's 2 things they can get on them each. And if you want to get them completely unlocked, you'd have to put 6 XP on each of your guys, or on one of your guys rather, to completely unlock all of his abilities. Now there's some different abilities here, and there's some different scenarios and things you can do to mix it up. There's different maps you can use, but typically, for instance, like in the first scenario, if you go ahead, you find the Questar, and you escape without dying, then you win Keepers of the Questar. So there's no easy way to say this. This game is Battleship Dungeons and Dragons. That's essentially what this game is, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because you've got these dueling dungeon masters and Questar fellows, and that is a really cool idea. This game was really fun in that sense of, okay, I'm moving to I-7. I-7, there's a monster there, and that's really cool. It really does have a battleship feel to it, but with this really cool theme. I really enjoyed that. With that idea in mind, the game has some strengths and it has some weaknesses. First of all, the strengths are this gives you a very thematic experience. You have some really fun characters that have some really cool powers that they can level up to that are pretty fun and kind of can affect the game. But at the same time, the combat system I am just not a real fan of. That whole thing where you just have to guess a number. I gotta be honest, I would have rather they just had some good old-fashioned dice combat in here or something like that. I was not a fan of guessing the numbers or guessing the letters. It just didn't jive with me. It kind of took me out of the experience a little bit. I didn't care for that. And also, too, you've got, for your exploration, you can either do movement for a point or you can explore the area next to you. The problem is you're moving down these narrow hallways, and if you need to get to a certain place, or you sense you need to get to a certain place, and you've got to go through a space. So you investigate, you see a monster's there, and it's like, okay, I know the monster's there. I just burned a point discovering the monster's there, and I still got to go through, and I still got to fight him. So it felt to me the whole investigate thing was kind of weak. It just seemed like just push through, and it kind of worked out better for you in the end, in the long run. And there may be some strategy there I'm not seeing, but that was it's kind of like I didn't get really the point of the investigate after a while, because it seemed like you just got to push through and get to where you're going. But still, there's something really charming and engaging about Keepers of the Questar. I think this is a good game, and particularly I think it's pretty easy to learn and easy to play, and I think maybe for younger players especially, this is really going to be a lot of fun for them. I think they'll really get a kick out of this. If you're a little bit more of an advanced gamer, you may enjoy the gimmick here, the theme here. I don't know that it's enough to sustain you for really enjoying this game over the long term. I don't know that this game gives you enough to keep you coming back. But still, I'm glad I played it, and I'll play it again, and I'll have fun with it. It's a kind of a fun, kooky little game. I wish they would do a 2.0 version, which was a little more advanced. I think this game could really rock if you had kind of bigger maps and maybe bigger adventures. If you had like a real big epic dungeon crawler game with minis and stuff, but you had this system, that would be amazing. That would be freaking cool. I would pay for that game. So I'd love to see this kind of system re-implemented on a bigger scale, for more gamer scale. I would love that. There's also a thing where if you have 2 copies of this game, you can play teams. I think that might be really fun. I haven't tried it. This is a good game. I just don't know that it's got the staying power to be a great game. Recommendation, I'm going to say try it before you buy it, but it's a positive try it before you buy it. I think younger players or people that are just looking for something, a real light, fun adventure, because it doesn't play very long, which is a good thing for what it is. I'm glad it doesn't, because if it was this level and it went on for 2 hours, I wouldn't like it at all. But for what it is, I think it's great. The time commitment to it. I think some people will really get a kick out of it. I don't know that everybody will. So try it before you buy it. Positive try it before you buy it. That's my recommendation. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. If you like this video, I'd ask you to please leave a thumb for us on Board Game Geek, and also I'd ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and fun things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Discriminating Gamer, reminding you should never, ever, ever make fun of lazy people. They didn't do anything.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind
one thing up right now, and that is if you ever hear a rumor about Zach hitting a dog with a car, the part about the car is untrue.